Part 64. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 633. Outside the high walls. The atmosphere instantly became extremely solemn. Under Suje's order, the newbies who surrounded Yingxia didn't know where the retro-dressed guy in front of them came from, but this kind of attire was abnormal in itself. The Tiankai Guild's branch in Hading City, the Great Engineer Tower, and the area of 500 meters outside the high wall have long been under martial law. But this man was able to pass through the cordon silently, which is enough to explain the problem. The visitor is not good. Suje clenched his fists. He didn't take action immediately. As the former head of the armed police superintendent of one of the 6 departments under the Z5 Council, no one else knows Yingxia's unfathomable strength better than Suje. There is a vague sense of aura among those who practice ancient martial arts. Suje was confident that he would have a 50-50 draw with the young Li from the Li family, but in front of Yingxia, Suje was not even sure. So he didn't take action immediately. Unexpectedly, Yingxia came to the outside of the high wall and just stood there without making any other moves. She also ignored Suje and didn't say a single word, as if she was waiting. When Li Kai squinted his eyes and walked towards Yingxia, Yingxia opened her eyes. He waited. But it can also be said that we didn't wait. Yingxia's calm expression seemed incompatible with the tense atmosphere around him. I didn't expect it to be you. Yingxia finally spoke. Li Kai and Suje looked at each other and secretly discussed countermeasures in a private chat. Li Kai remained calm on the surface and smiled slightly. What else? He was the one I should have been waiting for. Yingxia shook his head gently, but the fact that you showed up means that I can't wait any longer. Li Kai took a deep breath. After a moment, Li Kai said with a smile, if President Ying wants to see the excitement of the job fair, then Li can be responsible and tell President Ying that you are early. Li Kai called Yingxia President Ying. The implication is that now he and Yingxia are no longer colleagues in the Z5 Council in the past, and they no longer have the friendship between the imperial families. Li Kai kept pace with the times and raised the nature of the dialogue between the two to the level of guild. Li Kai is the vice president of Apocalypse Guild. Yingxia is the president of Qin Shi Minjiao. In this way, the next conversation between Li Kai and Yingxia evolved into a conversation between the two guilds. Yes, it's early. Yingxia looked at Li Kai's narrowed eyes, his unruffled eyes, without any turmoil, as if he didn't read the deep meaning of Li Kai's words, but also as if he clearly understood them and didn't care. After a while, Yingxia sighed, "You're not welcome. Don't forget, this is Tiankai's residence. Everyone who comes is a guest. Today is not the time for Tiankai to entertain guests. Ying X, you can wait." Li Kai's pupils shrank slightly. Fortunately, Li Kai's eyes are not big. No one could detect this subtle change in his eyes. After a while, Li Kai put his hands behind his back. Even if it's to reminisce about old times, this is not a good place. Yingxia is very stubborn. It doesn't matter, old friends reminisce about the past. What we reminisce about is the old friends, not the old place. Li Kaiao can't do it. He saw it now. Yingxia seemed to be stubborn and refused to leave. Li Kai was thinking about Yingxia's purpose of coming here. When Yilin was in the capital, under the siege of Yingxia, Zhao Taiqian, Yu Lixin, and Zhu Kongdi, she protected Mo Rendi and Mo Li, broke out of the siege, and took away Emperor Zhu Chong with one shot. The originally solid council of 5 emperors fell apart. Although the Zhu family had a second son, Zhu Chong, the status of the Zhu family dropped a lot due to the death of Emperor Zhu Chong. It can be said that Yilin offended several major families in an instant. Of course, it is meaningless to talk about who offended whom. The bridge has been forged. Li Kai did not participate in the original battle due to some reasons. Taking a step back, even if you participate, it will not change the results at all. These days, Since joining the Apocalypse Guild, Li Kai has witnessed the rapid rise of this guild after the version update, as if witnessing the birth of a miracle. He knew very well that Yilin had hidden his strength and his ranking was above him. Emperor Zuchong died unjustly. When Li Kai joined the Apocalypse Guild, it was equivalent to standing on the opposite side of the other imperial families, and it was equivalent to carrying Yilin's hatred value on his back. Then here comes the problem. What does Yang Xiaolai do? This is a serious question. Li Kai took a risk by stepping outside the high wall of light. Judging from Li Kai's understanding of Yang Xia, he seemed to disdain doing such a thing. Call. Li Kai breathed a sigh of relief and waved his hand behind him, bring a table. 10 minutes later. A coffee table is placed outside the high wall. There are no stools. Li Kai and Yang Xia didn't mind and sat directly on the floor. Suzhe, others, and even the senior apostles of the Shen's army within the guild, all got their equipment and formed a circle. Yang Xia was surrounded. But for some reason, Yang Xia's calm demeanor made them feel that Yang Xia was surrounding them. On the table, there were 2 cold beers and a small plate of peanuts. Li Kai smacked some peanuts and quickly calmed down before the coffee table was moved. Although he is not Yang Xia's opponent, if he really gets angry and gets into a fight, he may not lose much. What's more, Suzhe was also present. In the Great Engineer's Tower, his wife is still sleeping. Li Kai calmly chewed the peanuts, that's it? Yang Xia raised her head and looked at Li Kai. Li Kai whispered, when you and I sit together at this time, at this place, in front of everyone, your purpose has been achieved. Yang Xia smiled slightly. But why? Yang Xia also cracked peanuts. After eating a few, his tone changed, times have changed. So. There are no permanent enemies and no permanent friends. Oh, it doesn't make any sense to say this now. Because you know I won't believe it, and I also know you know I won't believe it. How about Lao Mo? Yang Xia asked again. Li Kai narrowed his eyes, I can't die. What a pity. The ancient sword behind Yang Xia made a faint clang, seeming to come to life. There was a trace of nostalgia in Yang Xia's calm eyes. If there is a chance, I actually want to fight Lao Mo under fair conditions, fight to the death. You are an apostle and he is an ordinary person. How can you be fair? No, the ancient sword behind Yang Xia stopped ringing. After he said one word, he fell into silence for half a minute. There was a bit of helplessness in his tone, as if he had to say the next sentence. Quote, just because Lao Mo has not yet become an apostle, this is only fair. The implication seems to be that once Mo Rendi becomes an apostle, he will become a bit of a bully. The 2 clinked glasses. Take a sip of beer. This style of painting is a little weird. A middle-aged Li Kai, a gray-haired Yang Xia, one is the vice president of Tiankai Guild, and the other is the president of Qin Shi Minjiao. On the occasion where they should have fought, they sat opposite each other. Together, drink beer and eat peanuts. This was a once-in-a-century scene that made Suzhe have the urge to take out his cell phone and take a photo as a souvenir. Yang Xia looked up at the glorious engineer tower not far away. This station is good. Envious? Yes. Unexpectedly, Yang Xia was really envious. With any luck, you can do it too. Li Kai chuckled. I didn't expect that I could surpass Yang Xia in terms of momentum. Yang Xia moved his eyes away from the great engineer tower, fell back on Li Kai, and asked, don't you regret it? What do you mean? Be inferior to others. Li Kai shook his head and did not answer Yang Xia's pointed question. Even when Yang Xia asked this question, some of the Shen's army around felt that Yang Xia was trying to sow discord between the Li family and Yilin. The atmosphere was a little restless, and some people even pulled out their weapons. It's a pity that they didn't dare to do it even if Li Kai didn't say anything about it. Li Kai pressed his palms softly, and the restless voices around him suddenly calmed down. Why are you under the people, Li Kai looked at Yang Xia's eyes, and there was a faint sparkle in his narrowed eyes. Now, you, Qin Shi Minjiao, are the people under the people of Tiankai. His. Li Kai's answer caused a gasp of air to echo around him. Their master is so tough. Awesome. Simple reply, silence again. It seems that Yang Xia is really just here to catch up on old times. He didn't seem angry about it. I hope you don't regret it. Oh, I will never regret it. Cheers. Cheers. Yang Xia and Li Kai drank this bottle of beer. Gudong gudong gudong. Both of them are extraordinary and can drink beer very quickly. Small whirlpools even spun out of Li Kai and Yang Xia's beer bottles. Yang Xia stood up and prepared to leave. Before leaving, Yang Xia turned her back to Li Kai and said, "Actually, Lao Zhu, you don't have to die." Li Kai looked at Yang Xia's figure leaving in surprise. When Suje saw that Yang Xia had finally left, his muscles all over his body were completely relaxed. He walked curiously to his parents-in-law, scratched his head and asked, "Old Li, what on earth is that guy here for? He's really here to drink beer and eat peanuts with you coming." Hiccup. Li Kai hiccuped, but his expression remained unchanged. He shook his head slightly and said nothing on the surface, but secretly established a private voice chat with Suje. If I'm not mistaken, he originally came to see the president. What the hell? Are you here to seek revenge? Suje was angry. Yes, or maybe not. He should be here to confirm something. He wants to confirm whether I am the one calling the shots in this station. So, he has completed the confirmation. Now the whole world knows that our guild has 2 stations. Since I am managing the station, it means that the president is very likely not here. Since his purpose has not been achieved, it becomes a simple it's reminiscing about old times. Why didn't I hear this meaning? Haha, on the strength side, I don't blame you. Li Kai still maintained a smile on the surface, his lips twitching slightly, and what I can't figure out is that he actually expressed his attitude at this juncture. What does he want to do? Who's watching? Suje was shocked. Wait a minute, are you saying that Yang Xia is trying to show his goodwill? Li Kaideo, whether it is really good or not, at least on the surface it is. If I guess correctly, the matter of the vice president of Tiankai Guild had a long talk with President Qin Shi Minjiao will be spread soon. Actually, it doesn't matter what he and I sat down to talk about. What's important is that we sit together. Suje understood. The situation in Hating City is now gathering, and many people are staring at this place. Li Kai and Yang Xia were so arrogantly eating peanuts and drinking beer outside the high wall, which would definitely arouse speculation and suspicion from countless people. Forget it, we'll talk about it later. Li Kai waved his hand and prepared to return to the tower. At this moment, Li Kai noticed the vibration of the death mark. He originally thought it was his in-law Suje who had sent something else, but when he saw the message, his steps suddenly stopped. The message was sent by Yang Xia. There is only one sentence above. Have you ever thought about who the GM is? Li Kai's expression changed drastically. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 634. Ah! The hot wind blew over her face, ruffling Yilin's hair. The noisy cicadas kept rising and falling. Finally, there was a single fish swimming in the river. Yilin couldn't help but sigh, the wind is very noisy today. Yilin's spiritual energy level is sufficient today. Bai Xiaoi, Nai Hongxiu, and Gaijiamai Mi, 3 mother spirits, sit in rows on the roof of the farmer's hut. They didn't fight today. After a whole month of fighting in this boring farmland, no one was tired of it. You can't be beaten to death, and you can't run away after being beaten. It has no other purpose other than to satisfy your cravings. Master seems so bored. Gaijiamai Mi was dressed more formally today, with a slightly longer skirt. She held her delicate chin and looked at Yiren's heroic figure working in the farmland, her eyes shining brightly. "Tch, can you still be bored?" Bai Xiaoi stood aside and kept a certain distance from Gaiakin Mei, who was always thinking about how to please her master. Hearing Xiaomei's speech, Xiao Bai rolled his eyes with disdain. "Don't think about how to change into messy uniforms all day long, and think about how to help the master improve his strength, isn't it? In fact, what Bai Xiaoi wants to ask more is how on earth do you manage to be so flexible, and able to scale up or down?" Bai Xiaoi asked herself that she couldn't do it, at least she shouldn't. The image of the spirit has been fixed since the time it possessed the spirit. Unless they can have a physical body. Is that so? Gaiajiam smiled sweetly and changed into a simple apron. The back was completely empty, revealing her snow-white back. This was a pure apron. Hiss. Xiaobai was shocked. "Where did you learn this from? Asshole." Nai Hongxiu sat hugging her knees with her bare feet on the roof. She said nothing, just looked at Yilin's busy figure in the farmland. A trace of doubt appeared on her cold face, and murmured to herself, "Why doesn't the master use ability?" Seeing that the three mother spirits finally got along harmoniously and were able to sit together and talk, Yilin smiled knowingly. "Blueberries and cranberries have high yields. Hops, brewing makes money fast. Planting rice seedlings can produce rice, but you also need to build a mill, otherwise it can't be further processed." Hiss, "It's too stupid." Pippa's store started selling fruit tree seeds, and they are extremely expensive. On the first day of summer, Yilin went straight to Papier's grocery store, used fishing harvests to buy a large number of seeds, and planted them separately. Neatly cultivated farmland, hop shelves, moist soil, and a row of rice seedlings beside the stream. Next to the cabin, an orange tree and a peach tree began to thrive. Under the shade of the tree, 4 hives are surrounded by buzzing bees. Soon, Yilin will be able to taste pure natural and pollution-free honey. Looking at the prospering farm, Yilin felt an inexplicable sense of pride in her heart. This feeling of pride was so strange. It's not just farming. Yilin did find this trial a bit boring at first. But after calming down, he gradually gained a happiness that was usually hard to find from this rare piece. "Remember, you said home is the only castle. As the Daoxiang River continues to run. Smile slightly, I know your childhood dreams. Don't cry, let the fireflies take you away. Country songs, eternal support. Go home and go back to the original beauty." Yiren hummed a classical country ballad tunelessly. After carefully planting all the seeds, Yilin fetched a bucket of water from the well and carefully poured the right amount of water on each seed. There is plenty of sunshine in summer, so crops must be kept adequately hydrated, otherwise they will be burned to death. It would be great if canals could be built to improve irrigation efficiency. When Yilin finished plowing, sowing, irrigating and other tasks, dusk had arrived. Feeling empty, Yilin did not use any extraordinary abilities this time, but worked hard bit by bit. The cost of maintaining 3 mother spirits is nothing to Yilin. But given his physical condition, he was extremely tired after finishing his work. Yilin ate the omelette and paired it with the parsip soup. After lunch and dinner, her fatigue was gone and her physical energy was instantly replenished. While Yilin was eating, 3 mother spirits floated down from the roof, surrounding Yilin in the center. Bai Xiaoi stretched out his hand and swept it over Yilin's bowl, passing through it without any hindrance. This scene made Bai Xiaoi's anxious expression suddenly drop. "Master," Bai Xiaoi put her hands on her hips and said reluctantly, "didn't you say before that you would make delicious food for us?" Yilin gnawed on the egg roll and said vaguely, "Huh? When did I say that?" Nai Hongxiu had a sullen face and suddenly said, "When we were in Auranos." Hiss. When Yilin heard this, she suddenly remembered that when everyone in the world of Uranus had lost their memory, Yulin made all kinds of promises in order to find a way to win the favor of the two magic swords Bai Xiaoi and Nai Hongxiu as soon as possible. Quite a few promises. It seems that one of them is to take them to eat delicious food. But you can't eat it either. Who told you that the spirit possession level is not high enough? I heard before that when the spirit possession level reaches its peak, the spirit can have an entity. Keep up your efforts. With a calm expression, Yilin quickly swept up the egg rolls and soup until every drop was left, wiped her mouth with her sleeve, and made a come-on gesture to the three mother spirits. Bai Xiaoi. Nai Hongxiu. Gaijiamaimi. Yulin's words and gestures made the three mother spirits cry out in their hearts at the same time. Isn't it your problem whether the level of our possessed spirit is high or not? Why are you blaming us for not working hard enough? After Yilin cheered for the three mother spirits, she went to the dilapidated chicken coop without stopping. This chicken coop, with a simple straw shed on it, was built by Yilin, who spent a lot of wood, stone, and money to get Robin to build it. Correct. Robin is a young female carpenter. Lives in the suburbs to the north of the town. When Yilin found Robin at first, Robin kicked Yilin out of the door. If Yilin hadn't figured out how to boost residents' favorability later, and sent a lot of wood, and after boosting Robin's favorability to a certain level, Robin was finally willing to open the door to receive customers and do Yilin's business. But his tone was still a bit cold and indifferent. This kind of trial should be done by Li Shizhan. Every time Yilin thought of the rejection she had received in this town, she couldn't help but shake her head and sigh, if it doesn't work, let Li Chang'e come. In the chicken coop, there are already 4 thriving chicks. 4 chicks produce eggs steadily. Yilin spent a lot of money to buy it at Marnie's farm. For convenience, the 4 chicks are named Jill 1 to Jill 4. After filling the feed trough with hay and collecting a few eggs, Yilin finished her day's farm work. Open the rankings and take a look. That Jianduoduo is indeed a great person. Although he was also ranked as Farmer King, his total assets unknowingly surpassed Yilin's, and he returned to the throne of Farmer No 1. But Yilin doesn't care. There are more and more fish in the river. When these summer fish and shrimps are almost reproduced, if you take the time to catch them, you should be able to make a lot of money. Yilin is not very concerned about this ranking because there is still a lot of time. The days are long and there is no need to be anxious. Formula. Yilin opened the recipe interface. After upgrading to the Farmer King level, many new tool recipes are unlocked in the recipe interface. Wine barrel, egg yolk machine, smelting furnace, garbage recycling machine and so on. Yilin looked at the materials needed for these messy machines and felt dizzy. This trial was so exhausting. Even if he is extraordinary, he can't help but tossing things like this. No wonder it's a nightmare-level trial. Yilin waved and took advantage of the darkness to fall, taking 3 mother spirits with her, teasing the cat Xiao Meng, riding Xiao Xiao, clicking along the mountain road, running towards the mine. Just the extent of this liver explosion is enough to be called a nightmare. Yilin actually figured it out from the beginning. There are 2 ways to pass this trial. One is to farm honestly, farm for 3 years, and earn enough assets. The second is to start the fighting mode with the other 4 apostles, kill 3, and pass the level safely. But this seems a bit cruel. It's just that I don't know if others have thought of the second bloody mode of clearance, or because there is still enough time, they are still addicted to farming. The 5 apostles did not have too much contact during this trial. During the 30 days of the first spring, Yilin accidentally met a fair-skinned female apostle in Papier's grocery store. At that time, Yilin came forward to say hello in a friendly manner. The other party saw that Yilin did not seem to have any intention of starting a fight. After adding each other as friends, she hurriedly left with large and small bags in her arms. The female farmer's name is Bai Runding. Well, I don't know whether Runding or Runding Yilin is a person, but her skin is very fair, which is true to her name. In the mine, a lot of materials are produced. Once Yilin's grasp of annihilation triggers the annihilation effect, it is too powerful. Last time, the mine exploded and collapsed. The Adventurers Guild nearby was said to have been repairing it for several days, and even posted a notice offering a reward to the culprit who caused the mine to collapse. In order to avoid causing public outrage, he did not go into the mine for a long time. The mechanism of this mine also made Yilin feel a little weird. Every day in the mine, after the farmer goes to sleep, the structure inside seems to change. But the residents of the town seemed not to be surprised by this strange phenomenon, and no one protested at all. In the mine, as the layers get deeper, more monsters appear. Last time, Yilin only went down to the 10th floor and blew up the mine without having time to go deeper. But now there are more tool recipes in the formula, all of which require some metal mineral materials such as gold, silver, copper, and iron. If you don't mine mines, there is no way to make these practical props. In desperation, Yilin had no choice but to return to the mine. I remember that among the keywords on the door, the second keyword is mining in the cave, which is what it originally refers to. But for a good casual farming trial, the setting of mining and killing monsters must be added. Yilin always felt that there was something wrong with the setting, like stitching monsters. Huh? That's... Yilin rode a horse and passed through the town. There is a sneaky figure in the distance. Yilin could not help but frighten the others, so she quickly put away Bai Xiaoi, Nai Hongxiu, and Gaijiamai, who had changed her clothes in a less formal way, so as not to frighten the residents of the town. Unexpectedly, there were still people active in the town at this time. Yilin's sense of touch was released, and she suddenly discovered that the figure beside the dim street lamp, deliberately avoiding all street lamp areas, and making professional stealth actions, was actually the selfless mayor, Luzi. Where is Lao Lu next door going in the middle of the night? Yilin slowly typed a question mark. After a while, Yilin decided to follow him, take a look, and find out what was going on. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 635. The atmosphere of this small town is peaceful and peaceful. In the first month, because it was a nightmare-level trial, Yilin was still a little wary. But after the first spring, Yilin was completely relaxed and even enjoyed the rare leisure time. It's really quite casual, it's hard to imagine that this is a nightmare-level trial. After Yilin learned that giving gifts could increase the favorability of the town residents, she made a lot of efforts. Thanks to Yilin's efforts, the town residents finally stopped kicking Yilin out whenever they saw him. Even if his tone was cold, they were able to do business at normal prices. The most outrageous thing about gift giving is that the residents of the town only accept gifts once a day, either because they are arrogant, reserved, or embarrassed. When Yilin discovered this for the first time, she almost smeared the green vegetable salad in her hand on Pippa's face. If you don't accept it, why don't you give it away by force? He felt that this trial was poisonous. Month after month, who knows how he delivered this month? There is an ignorant young man named Vincent in Gugu Town, who likes to tell interesting gossip about Gugu Town. Vincent heard from his father that Marnie was a unique flower in the town back then, and many strong residents coveted her. Marnie, I had contact with Yilin when she bought Gil number 1 to Gil number 4. Yilin wasn't sure whether she was pretty when she was young, but now she looks like she still has charm. Why did you mention Marnie suddenly? The reason is simple. The sneaky Louise left the town in the dead of night and went to Marnie's farm. Even Yilin, who activated like a shadow and shadow kill at the same time just to be on the safe side, watched with a blank face as she watched the old Lou next door climb into Marnie's house through the window. Everything is profound. The sound of something liberating. Tear dash. The sound of tearing cloth. It seems so intense. Yilin, who was silent outside the door, silently wrote a word of faith for Laolu. It's not easy when you get older. Yilin did not have any strange habits. After learning where the Mayor Louis was, Yilin shook his head and smiled, then turned around and prepared to leave, continuing to run towards the original destination. After taking a few steps, Yilin paused and stopped in place. Wait a moment. Louis's sneakiness showed that he didn't want others to know about it. Is Marnie married? Yilin doesn't know. But since Louis doesn't want others to know about this, Yilin suddenly had a bold idea. Half an hour later. It's 10 o'clock sharp. Behind Yilin floated 3 little female spirits in different costumes, wandering around in the mine. Because he wasted a lot of time following Louis, Yilin had no intention of reaching the deep mine tonight, carrying an upgraded copper pickaxe, tapping the stones in the dark cave. Every day, the layout in the mine will be strangely refreshed. If you want to reach the next level, you must knock out a staircase leading to the next level among the randomly distributed stones to reach a deeper level. Yilin's Buddhist mining method almost emptied out the whole floor of the mine every time before he knocked out the stairs with difficulty. If not, the last time Yilin went to the mines, he wouldn't have been forced to use Grasp of Annihilation to blow up the mines. What's even more outrageous is that the first time Yilin's Grasp of Annihilation was used in the cave, it triggered the annihilation effect and directly exploded the mine. Fortunately, Yilin was able to turn into a shadow and escape, otherwise he himself would be buried in the mine. Although the mining process is a bit boring. But from time to time, a few weak monsters popped out from the darkness, giving Yilin a lot of fun to kill. It was also interesting to watch the 3 female spirits Nai Hungziu, Bai Xiaoi, and Gaijiamaimi bickering. It took 2 hours. Yilin worked hard and reached the 15th floor. Yo! The 15th floor was actually empty. There is a treasure chest inside. But, the treasure box was open, and the contents inside were missing. In short, someone got there first. Yilin was stunned. After a moment, he understood. It seems that besides him, there are others in the liver mine. The 5 farmers in the Nongpo Valley seem to be sharing the same mine progress. Yilin didn't deliberately go into the mine, so she didn't know what was in the depths of the mine. This is interesting. It seems peaceful, but is it full of competition? In the empty treasure chest level, Yilin held her chin and laughed for a while, not feeling angry at being cut off. Let's get here first today. It's early morning. A strange feeling of tiredness came over me. Yilin yawned greatly, and her eyelids began to droop. This trial is not as simple as it seems. There is a strange rule here. With Yilin's current extraordinary attributes, staying up late is not a problem at all, and she won't feel tired because of it. But every morning after midnight, she felt tired and had to go back to the farmer's hut to sleep. After looking at the farmer's backpack, it was filled with all kinds of messy monster materials such as bat wings and slime, as well as a lot of copper ore, coal, and other mine materials. It should be enough to upgrade farmer's tools. Yilin took the mine elevator and returned to the first floor. Just after walking out of the mine, Yilin accidentally saw a tall figure in the distance, carrying a pickaxe, flashing away. The next day, Yilin quickly completed the work of watering the farmland and came to the town. When passing by the park, Yilin saw the loudmouth Vincent playing ball with a little girl. After stuffing each person with a farmer's lunch, the corresponding prompt flashed in front of Yilin's eyes. Vincent's favorability add 1. Jaws favorability add 1. Yilin learned the little girl's name by the way. This ignorant young man turns out to be able to flirt with girls. Yilin had something to do and was just passing by. When she saw Vincent was busy, she left quickly. As we all know, Vincent will only gossip when there are no other people around. Now that there are outsiders around, Vincent will not gossip. Arriving at Papier's grocery store, a young woman with dark green hair, wearing a white shirt on her upper body, tight 9-point jeans on her lower body, and sandals was carrying a small cardboard box from the newly opened grocery store. Go out from behind the door. Caroline. Pippa's wife. Yuren met him several times when he went to the grocery store from time to time. Yulin had tried to brush up her favorability level before, but found that her preferences were a bit strange and she didn't like the food Yulin cooked, so Caroline's favorability level never went up. Caroline didn't even look at Yulin, her face was expressionless, and she was about to walk past Yulin, as if she was passing by a ball of air. Yulin was used to the cold looks from the residents and didn't care. He remembered that he had knocked out 15 floors of the mine last night, and accidentally knocked out a citron, and casually placed it in front of Caroline. The proprietress of Pippa grocery store, Caroline's favorability at 10. Are you a new farmer? I'm Carolyn. My husband owns a grocery store here. Have you met my daughter Abigail? She has a very fair complexion and purple hair. Caroline instantly snatched the topaz from Yulin's palm, turned her head and gave Yulin a forced but polite fake smile. Huh. It turns out that residents still have this term preference. Will giving favorite gifts increase your favorability? Yuren discovered a new blind spot. But Caroline's words left Yulin quite speechless. What is a new farmer? After all, he has been to the store several times, okay. Did these residents really think of themselves as transparent before? This is outrageous. He gave Yulin a citron that he had finally knocked out, which finally made Pippa's wife Caroline's favorability rise to the level where she was barely able to talk to her after Caroline said that. She ignored Yulin. It seemed that Yulin's topaz could only allow her to say one sentence. But it doesn't matter. As long as Yulin knows how to increase her favorability, there is always a way to increase her favorability. Yulin walked into Pippi's shop and found Pippi lying on the table with a sad face. Yulin casually stuffed another piece of low-grade food, and Pippa took it feebly. His favorability level silently increased by 1 point, and then he ignored Yulin and finished the check. After leaving Papier's grocery store, Yulin took a leisurely stroll in Gugu town. The warm morning sun was not dazzling, and the cool wind mixed with the cool water vapor from the river hit her face. Yulin blinked in the wind and felt relaxed. It seems that the worries and tensions of the real world are completely forgotten here. He had the illusion that he was on vacation in Gugu town. This trial really can't bring too much pressure to Yulin, just use it as you like. Hi, Louis. Mayor Louis, who was slapping his old waist, accepted Yulin's gift with a cold face. Humph, it's you again. Louis' favorability hasn't risen enough for him to smile. Yulin chuckled. Seeing that Lu Yi was about to leave after accepting the gift, Yulin called Lu Yi and said, "Old Lu, please stay. Last night, I was sleeping carelessly for a long night, and I accidentally saw a person near Marnie's farm. Oh, don't mention it, that person really looks a bit like you." Yulin blinked at Lao Lu. "You? What what do you look like?" When Louis heard this, his face instantly turned dark, so dark that it turned purple, with a little pink in the purple. He seemed angry, and his eyes widened. "You, how could you insulting someone's innocence out of thin air?" Yulin's expression was slightly startled, and Lao Lu's reaction was a little big. Louis said again, "Can my mayor's night patrol be called stealing?" "Bah. I was worried that there was a thief near Marnie's farm, so, in short, don't talk nonsense." Mayor of Gugu town, Lu Yisai's favorability at 100. After a while, Lao Lu finally calmed down. He had a straight face, a stern expression, and a righteous light in his brows. "Young farmer. Yulin. I have a favor to ask of you." Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 636. Snow Mountain Station. Molly completed the final adjustments. There is no such thing as testing the transmission of the teleportation array. This will take one step to the stomach. The crystals required for the large-scale teleportation array that is enough to teleport number 100 people to Hating City cannot withstand this level of consumption. Molly can be said to be half the housekeeper of the Apocalypse Guild. The inventory of crystals Yilin brought back from the world of Auranos was divided into 3 parts. Yuren kept some for herself. Wang Tiandi left part of the storage space. The remaining part is in Molly's room. This is the last stock available. Once it's used up, it's gone. The departure date is set for May 4th. Everyone felt a little uneasy. They are not worried about the upcoming job fair. But he was worried. Molly hosted the teleportation array. The ability to knock people to the ground and teleport them over long distances is truly extraordinary. This is a feat that modern technology cannot achieve. It is strange that others are uneasy about letting an ordinary person like Molly, who is not even an apostle, take charge of everyone's lives. Molly comforted Li Xiaoqi. Okay, I played with this teleportation array before, didn't I also successfully teleport it? How many people were here at that time? Even if Molly didn't mention it, Li Xiaoqi really didn't know about it. 4 people and 1 dog. In an instant, wrinkles appeared on Li Xiaoqi's face. Correct. The day before departure. Molly suddenly remembered something important. Where's Lao Pan? Where's Lao Pan? Where's Lao Pan? She hurriedly searched for Pan Zhenji throughout the station. Lao Pan disappeared again. Molly was indeed not 100% sure. At most, it's 99%. But she suddenly remembered that scene when Lao Pan cracked a piece of crystal with his teeth and inexplicably completed the circuit. If you are in doubt, go to Lao Pan. Then, everyone in the station got up all night and looked for Lao Pan in the station. Since Lao Pan returned alive without any suspense in the last trial, he has wandered off to nowhere. The Pan Zhenji who occasionally appears in the station, stroking the stick with a sad face, is actually another personality, Pan Xiaozhang. Over time, other members of the station also understood how to distinguish the 2 personalities of Lao Pan. The silly one, the lost one, the nagging one is Pan Zhenji. The one who can communicate, the one who pretends to be melancholy, and the one who holds a stick is Pan Xiaozhang. Mobilizing everyone overnight, they searched inside and outside the station. Finally, Wang Tiandi relied on his natural ability dog's sense of smell to find Lao Pan in a valley 10 kilometers away from the Snow Mountain station. After Wang Tiandi found Lao Pan, he pulled the trouser legs of Suzayasu, Li Erpang and others and pulled a group of people all the way to where Lao Pan was. The Looking for Pan Zhenji strike team is composed of Suzayasu and his wife, dog, Li Xiaoqi, and Ningyu. Suzayasu and Li Erpang are the strongest in the guild, with thick skin and thick flesh that can withstand the cold. Because outside the station, on the ice fields of the snow-capped mountains, the terrain is complex and dangerous. Ningyu's I stand here, you come and hit me skill can change the terrain, which is suitable for outings for reconnaissance, so Ningyu was also asked to join the search for Lao Pan's assault team. In the detachment, under the guidance of Emperor Wang Tian, when they found Lao Pan, they were in a naturally formed cave. Looking from a distance, there was a bright red fire coming out of the cave, and it seemed like a bonfire was lit inside. Ha ha! With Lao Pan's IQ, he can actually cook a bonfire? This desire for survival is great. Li Erpang was wearing a small cotton-padded jacket. Because he had lost a lot of weight, he looked a bit short and lean. He scratched his crew-cut head and laughed. People and their physiques cannot be generalized. Ningyu thought of Lao Pan's heroic appearance in the Ghost Bride trial, carrying the groom back alone to fight the Ghost Bride for 300 rounds. He couldn't help but feel convinced and sighed, some people will die if they don't do something, and some people can't die no matter what they do. This may be the reason why Lao Pan disappeared while playing in the station all day long, but no one was worried that he would die outside. Suzayasu, Li Erpang, Wang Tiandi, and Li Ziyuki all nodded at the same time, feeling that what Ningyu said made sense. Li Ziyuki was not familiar with Pan Zhenji. But in his opinion, there was something wrong with Pan Zhenji, a lunatic who could survive cruel trials without reason. It is completely impossible to explain it with serious reasons. The pan-seeking team, 4 people and 1 dog, approached the cave that was glowing with fire. When there are still dozens of meters away from the natural cave, the dog suddenly let out a shush, then looked at the others, put one of his paws on his head, the other on his waist, spread his legs in the snow, and made a gesture that made the others stunned. The flirtatious posture. After making this gesture, Wang Tiandi lay down on the snow as a whole dog. His hair trembled all over his body, his teeth bared, and he swung his tail 3 times to the left, 2 times to the right, 1 up and half down. After completing a series of complex movements, Emperor Wang Tiandi breathed a long sigh of relief, made an OK claw gesture toward the others, grinned, and seemed to be asking, "Understood? I understand you so well, you bitch." After the other 4 normal humans were silent for a few seconds, Li Erpang became angry and roared in a low voice. "Tisk." Emperor Wang Tian sneered, showing an expression of disdain. He raised a paw and shook it slowly. "You can't understand it when you express it so clearly. Your strength and mental abilities this year are not very good. Not even half as good as the shit-shoveling officer." Suzayasu stretched out her big palm and rubbed Li Erpang's flat head lovingly, then looked at Wang Tiandi and said 3 words, "Speak humanly." The sneer on Wang Tiandi's face froze instantly. "Wait a minute," Ningyu stopped and seemed to understand. "Wang Er is saying that besides Lao Pan, is there anyone else?" Lao Emperor Wang Tian raised his thumb and paw towards Ning's right side. "Woman," Ningyu thought of the flirtatious expression made by Emperor Wang Tian, and was a little unsure. Emperor Wang Tian lowered his head and thought for a moment, then raised another thumb. "See, this is the spiritual side." After Ningyu interpreted Wang Tiandi's dog language and body language through analysis, conjecture, and reasoning, he spread his hands toward the others with a calm expression. The others ignored Ningyu's gradually turning Versailles expression and cautiously approached the cave from which the fire came. Li Erpang laughed. Suzayasu took the lead and walked at the front. "Yo!" Lao Pan was shivering from the cold, with ice shards hanging on his hair and face, and his nose was frozen. He said hello to the few people who broke into the cave. Seeing Pan Zhenji's tragic situation, Li Erpang was stunned. "Did you just dig it out of the snow?" "Shh." Suddenly, Suzayasu stretched out her big hand and stopped Li Erpang, who was about to step forward. Li Erpang's pupils shrank slightly, and he soon understood what Suzayasu meant by holding him down. In the dim place where the firelight could not reach, a thin figure sat there quietly, making no sound at all, almost blending into the darkness. If Suzayasu hadn't reminded him, Li Erpang wouldn't have noticed the thin figure at first glance. Wang Tiandi rushed to Suzayasu's feet, stretched out his claws and pointed hard at the figure. The hair all over his body exploded, his tail swung wildly, his expression looked a bit nervous, and his dog's head trembled slightly. Ningyu walked last. He looked at the dog's reaction strangely. In his impression, this dog has always been fearless. In the world of Auranos, in the small moonlit jungle, it could even sleep with a giant female wolf that was more than 10 times its size. How could it be done now? Ningyu felt cowardly. Emperor Wang Tian was indeed afraid. Everyone could see that Emperor Wang Tian was afraid. Otherwise, he would not cower at Suzayasu's feet. Not to mention that when they first discovered Lao Pan, they didn't take Lao Pan back, but went back to the station to bring in reinforcements. But what is this dog afraid of? Pan Zhenji is warming himself by the fire. The thin figure huddled in the dark corner slowly stood up. Suzayasu and Li Erpang immediately got into position. They also noticed something was wrong. Ningyu was even more straightforward, already pressing his palms on the cave floor, ready to activate his abilities at any time. The thin figure's face was gradually exposed in the firelight. Li Erpang's eyes narrowed into a dotted line. Ah, this. Suzayasu was slightly startled. Are you? Ningyu, shall I go? Lao Pan burst into laughter and kept giggling. Big niece, big niece, big niece. Walking out of the dim place was a girl who was estimated to be only 13 or 14 years old. Of course, a simple girl would not let Li Erpang and others have such a reaction. There is something weird about the girl. Her hair was spotless and as white as snow. Her skin is also very fair and she wears a black Gothic-style dress. Although a bonfire was set up in the cave, even Pangenji was shivering from the cold. The girl seemed not to feel anything. Her black and white eyes calmly looked at the few people who broke into the cave. Uncle, who are they? The white-haired girl asked the trembling Pangenji in a sweet voice. Pangenji lowered his head and thought for a moment, then grinned and pointed at Suzayasu and the others and laughed. Lace. 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 Suzayasu, Li Erpang, and Ningyu clenched their fists at the same time. Pangenji pointed to Wang Tiandi at Suzayasu's feet. Dog meat. Dog meat. Dog meat. Emperor Wang Tian was stunned. The four people and the dog looked at each other. At the same time, they had the urge to beat Pangenji to death. But since Pangenji's brain was not working well, he just let it go. That's not the problem now. Who is this weird girl? Ningyu whispered. Apostle. Li Erpang's expression was unusually serious. He shook his head and analyzed. He is not an ordinary person. Then we. Suzayasu looked solemn, and without saying a word, she picked up Pangenji and turned around to leave. Let's go. Suzayasu had a sullen face and did not give any reason. The others were not the kind-hearted virgins who fell in love with the cute little girl when they saw her. As soon as Suzayasu finished speaking, the others reacted and felt that something was wrong with the little girl. The four people and one dog did not show any weird behavior before the little girl. Go ahead, turn around and leave. Lao Pan was like a piece of food being held on the shoulders by a cannibal savage. He kept screaming and waving his hands and feet wildly, but he couldn't break free from Suzayasu's big iron hand. That weird kid gave them the feeling that something wasn't right. When Ningyu looked at the little girl, he even had the illusion that he was being stared at by a creature standing at the top of the food chain. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 637. After quickly exiting the cave. It was Li Erpang who carried Pangenji. I don't know whether it was because he felt sorry for his wife or something else, but Li Erpang shouldered everything on his own. She's following. Li Erpang looked back and saw a lone figure in the wind and snow, hanging not far or near behind a few people. Li Erpang was so frightened that he immediately shouted. Snapped. Suzayasu's face was as dark as water, and she slapped Li Erpang's prickly head with a slap. Don't yell, be careful of avalanches. When other people heard this, they didn't dare to make any noise. I was afraid that Suzayasu's worries would come true. Everyone saw the weirdness of the white-haired girl. The world was getting more and more wrong, and even a child who was not afraid of the wind and snow was born. It had only been a few days, it was really scary. They were on their way. The strange child followed from a distance, not getting closer and making no other movements. There is no reason for them to take action. Go, go, go. Li Erpang carried Pangenji like a tank, and after half an hour, he returned to the station. Behind him, the sneaky figure had disappeared. Li Erpang secretly turned his head and took a look, letting out a sigh of relief. Don't worry, no matter what kind of monster that child is, we have a station and she can't get in. The camouflage canopy at the guild's headquarters has the function of hiding the location of the guild's headquarters. From the outside, the Snow Mountain station looks like a bare snow mountain. This is also the reason why Yilin spent a lot of money to build a camouflage canopy when he first established the station. In this way, he could hide the station in the vast snow field. Call. In front of the camouflage sky, Li Erpang exhaled a long shot of white mist and dropped Lao Pan on his shoulder to the ground. Lao Pan didn't know when he started to calm down, his black eyes were squinted, and he felt sleepy. A circle of faint ripples spread out around Ning Yu's palm, turning into a concentric halo of light. After a while, beep beep beep, several people clocked in one after another. Emperor Wang Tiandi kicked Pan Zhenji into the light curtain in retaliation for Pan Zhenji calling him dog meat just now. Several members of the Apocalypse Guild were wrapped in a burst of light and disappeared in front of the bare snowy mountains. A few minutes later, in the wind and snow, the girl in black Gothic clothing left a row of footprints on the snow with one deep and one shallow kick. The girl closed her eyes, her delicate nose twitched slightly, and followed the faint scent all the way to the snow mountain where Suzayasu and others disappeared just now. After hesitating for a moment, the girl's slender eyebrows were slightly twisted. After a moment, they relaxed and she stretched out her hand with a milky voice, "It smells like daddy." After saying that, she stretched out her white hands forward. Beep beep beep. After the pan-seeking team returned to the station, Li Erpang recalled the child warming himself by the fire with Pan Zhenji in the cave. He still felt it was very strange. He glanced at the others and asked, "What's the origin of that little kid? Are you really pretending that we don't exist near our territory? Could it be a spy?" Ning Yu is also struggling with the feeling that the little girl brought to him just now. After all, they have also been involved in various trials until now. You can tell a serious person from a crooked person at a glance. They even have some experience in distinguishing whether they are human beings. In any case, the little girl just now was walking in the snow wearing such a thin Gothic skirt. The temperature here was below 0 degrees Celsius, which itself was wrong. Suzayasu reacted quickly and decisively. "Even though I don't know why Lao Pan would inexplicably warm himself by the fire in the cave with such a strange little girl, now that Yilin is not here, he immediately retreats and returns to the station without provocation, indulgence, or timidity. This is definitely true to his heart. Choose. Inform others of the news first." Finally, Ning Yu, who is on the spiritual side, gave full play to his strengths and expressed his thoughts, "At this juncture, if the president is not here, don't let anything happen. It's a good thing. I'll let Brother Xiu arrange manpower to patrol outside the station regularly. I see, even if there is a camouflage canopy, it may not be very safe." Including Guzi, everyone except Pan Zhenji agreed with Ning Yu's statement. Yilin was temporarily trapped by an unknown trial and could not come back. Coupled with the upcoming job fair in Hading City, although the current situation of Tiankai Guild cannot be said to be precarious, it is just that there is a serious shortage of manpower. At this time, nothing can happen. After Molly learned that Lao Pan was finally back, she breathed a long sigh of relief. Finally, Molly is confident in her IQ, and she can get a glimpse of science. But with Lao Pan, it will be safer. Maybe something went wrong when she arranged the core, and Lao Pan stepped out and kicked the core into position. In the past, Molly did not believe in this kind of illusory metaphysics, but the world has become like this, and Molly has no choice but to believe in many phenomena that are contrary to science. Therefore, the existence of Lao Pan is equivalent to insurance. On the scientific level, there is an additional layer of metaphysical insurance, perfect. What's your expression? When Molly saw Lao Pan lying on the ground and instantly became calm, she quickly noticed that something seemed wrong with the expressions of several people. It's hard to describe in one word. With his right body on his side, Ning stood up and told in concise words the strange things he encountered on the way to find Lao Pan. Gothic clothes? A child? In the ice and snow? Is this still a human being? When Molly heard this, Her eyes widened. People can't do it, at least they shouldn't. Whose kid is so unrestrained? Don't you have any discipline? Anyway, something doesn't look right with that Guawaza. We have to be more careful. Li Erpang finally said something serious. Don't worry, Ning, you saw that several people were getting nervous because of his eloquent language skills. He felt a little guilty and comforted. This is a garrison after all, and the defense of the guild garrison can still be trusted. Even if the missiles are coming, they can block several waves. This is what the president said personally. It tastes like daddy. Ning Yu hasn't finished speaking yet. A milky voice came from behind several people. There was a flash of light. The gothic Lolita that Ning Yu said appeared in the station with a smile. After 3 seconds of dead silence, a large amount of cold sweat broke out on Ning's right forehead. Hurry! Hurry, shake people. 10 minutes later, all members of the Apocalypse Guild are dispatched. Even Mo Rendi came to watch the fun. Everyone's expression was extremely serious, as if they were facing a formidable enemy. But no one dared to act rashly. Because... Woo-oh! Dad! Woo-oh! Dad! The little Loli was surrounded by a group of sisters, aunts, uncles, brothers, and dogs and cried so loudly. No one dared to take action. Because there is no reason. The members of Apocalypse Guild were discussing and whispering in low voices. After a while, everyone knew how the gothic Loli appeared at the station. The station has been invaded. This is a big deal. But the person who invaded the station was a little girl crying like a pear blossom with raindrops. This made them unable to start. Therefore, we should surround ourselves first and wait for the leader to make a decision. Swish, swish, swish. Everyone's eyes fell on Molly. Molly was stunned. What are you looking at me doing? Do you want me to give you an order so that you can do it with peace of mind? I should bear the blame for this. Unexpectedly, both humans and dogs nodded at the same time, including the dog. Although the apostles are all old men, the little girl who invaded the station did not show any other weirdness except crying, and she did not make any moves. This made them not sure how to deal with it. It's difficult. Li Chang'e frowned, and in order to show off appropriately, a rain of pink flowers fell from his back. The rain of flowers is dazzling and eye-catching. The crying white-haired Loli stopped crying when she looked at Huayu. She raised her head, her eyes sparkling like 2 black pearls. The little Loli babbling stretched out her hand towards the flower rain dancing in the air. She found it very interesting. The special effects were released, and the melodious symphony BGM sounded in everyone's ears. After being fully prepared, Li Chang'e took a step forward and began to speak. Wait, I feel something is wrong. Logically speaking, the station is created by the props of the tower. Everything follows the rules of the tower, and people without authority cannot enter unless they forcefully break through the station's defenses. Li Chang'e paused for a moment and looked at the others. Don't forget, under certain circumstances, the rules of the tower are difficult to break. This is not a toilet. If she doesn't have permission, how can she enter as she pleases? The outstanding performance of the big star made many members of the Shen's army stationed in the station look at Li Chang'e with admiration. Wow! Many female members exclaimed and sighed. After Li Chang'e finished showing off, he returned to the crowd with satisfaction. In other words, she has the authority to enter. Molly lowered her head and thought. She was actually thinking just now about how this little girl walked in without touching any of the camouflage canopy defenses. If the camouflage canopy is so easy to enter, what is the use of this station? Daddy's taste. The little Loli who stopped crying suddenly looked in the direction of Li Erpang and howled in surprise. Hiss. Feeling the murderous intent coming from behind, Li Erpang was so frightened that he instantly grew a few centimeters taller. He quickly clarified, don't slander anyone. Who is your father? Even if you are young, if you continue to talk nonsense, I'm going to sue you for slander. Sister Sue, don't get me wrong, he slandered me, he slandered me. Suzayasu lowered her head, looked at Li Erpang's head, and remained silent. Daddy's taste. Little Loli looked down at Gozi again and said something. The dog was so frightened that he ran away. Dad. 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 The little Loli pointed her finger at the crowd one by one. Some of the people she pointed at felt guilty, while others were confused and retreated one after another. This trick of creating a father out of nothing is too cruel, it will kill people and kill people. Ah no, this wave is to sow discord. Molly couldn't stand this chaotic scene anymore. She cautiously took a step forward, but kept a safe distance from the little Loli. You have so many fathers. Oh no, who are those you just pointed out as your father? Who is your father? The little Loli tilted her head, showing a puzzled expression. This expression seemed to say that there was something wrong with this question. After a while. Dad, that's Dad. Who are you? Shweer, summer is like snow. Seorugjiu? Seorugjiu, Molly was stunned. These three words sounded like a person's name, so Molly quickly asked, who is she? Mom, oh. Things are getting weirder. Which of you knows someone named Seorugjiu? Molly turned around and asked. Everyone shook their heads quickly and raised their hands to show their innocence. Suzayasu lowered her head and looked at Fat Li Er, who was shrinking his neck at his waist. That's stupid. I don't know you, I swear. I swear. If you lie, I will never gain weight in my life. Hiss. What a poisonous oath. Suzayasu smiled sweetly and believed it. Etc. Li Changa looked at Shweer's strange white hair and felt that it looked familiar inexplicably. He once met Yilin's mother spirit, one of whom was very beautiful. She can't be the president's illegitimate daughter. Li Changa was outspoken and blurted out the matter regardless of whether it was a big deal or not. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 638. Nongpo Valley. Summer of first year. Day 8. Early morning. Yilin woke up early. Feel refreshed. He came to the seaside alone, riding Xiaoxiao and taking three mother spirits with him. Willie's fisherman's hut has not yet opened its doors, and there is a resident camping out in a tent by the river. However, it is not yet dawn, which is a good time for Yilin to act. In the past few days, Yilin caught a wave of fish, including river fish, lake fish, and sea fish. So what if Willie doesn't give him a fishing rod? It doesn't matter, he doesn't rely on a fishing rod anyway. Using the fishing rod blindly will affect his fishing speed. Call. Yilin faced the sea, stretched out her 5 fingers, her expression was slightly condensed, and flowing lines were outlined in front of her eyes. Grasp of annihilation. But this time, it's not an ordinary release skill. Yilin carefully understood the speed of line drawing and tried to change the movements of her 5 fingers to change the direction of the flowing lines. Boom. After a while, a 10-meter high water column exploded on the sea. Crash. The salty sea water was blasted into the air and turned into local rainfall. Yilin looked helpless. Before some rain fell on her head, she calmly opened her umbrella to prevent any drop of sea water from falling on her. Rin-kun, what are you doing? Gaojiami's translucent body floated behind Yirin. Today, she specially wore a cute bikini. Cross-dressing is her innate skill. There are as many outfits as there are imaginations. Her heart has no limits, and her uniform also has no limits. The pattern on the front of the bikini is squeezed into an awkward shape. Gaojiami watched Yiren's movements with curiosity. Yilin's behavior lasted for nearly a week. She had resisted asking before, but she really didn't understand what Yilin was fussing over. Scattered fish belly white floated on the sea surface after the power of the skill was raging. Yo, and a few fresh seaweeds. Lift the ban. There was no one around, so Yiren was idle, so she said two words to Gaojiami as an explanation. Lift the ban. Our skills have strict limits. The essence of breaking through the lock on the mental side is to unlock a certain skill when the mental attributes reach the limit, and truly make the skill become your own ability. This is the key to unlocking the first lock on the mental side. As for the second level of lock, although I have no clue, I think it must be related to the unlocking of skills. Among the skills Yilin currently possesses, only Disaster Ridden was successfully lifted and the singing time was shortened. Other skills, untapped. First of all, Yilin knew that unlocking a skill was not as simple as overnight. It requires a deep understanding of the skill, coupled with a lot of repetitive training. Before Yiren was reborn in this timeline. In addition to Yilin herself, Yilin also knows several friends who have unlocked skills and broken the first spiritual lock through their own efforts. But Yilin had never heard of anyone who broke through the second spiritual lock. Too difficult. Even if Yilin used the extra function of bloodthirsty disaster, she couldn't forcefully break through it. It can be imagined that it is not that easy to break this second mental lock. In the real world, Yilin is full of worldly affairs, and the construction of the guild requires a lot of attention. Yilin doesn't have that much time. Although this farming trial was quite hectic, because there was not much pressure, Yilin was finally able to take time to practice her skills and find ways to unlock the ban one by one. This time, Yilin set her sights on the Grasp of Annihilation. Grasp of Annihilation has two limitations. First, you must be empty-handed and use your hands to lock the skill release point. Second, the range of skill release is fixed and cannot be changed. Yilin believes that as long as one of the changes is made, the skill should be unlocked. For Yilin, releasing with bare hands is not a too harsh restriction. It would be better to work on the scope of skills and optimize the skills in the next step, which would be more beneficial. Gaojiami didn't understand though. But that didn't stop her from wearing a bikini and happily calling Yiren. Practice a little more. Yilin looked up at the sky. It was almost time for the residents of the town to get up and move around. He faced the sea again, stretched out his 5 fingers, and murmured to himself. It is assumed that the blasting power of the Grasp of Annihilation is fixed under the influence of the same attributes. So, I just need to find a way to compress the blasting range. On average, is it equivalent to increasing the power of the skill in disguise? Even when compressed to an infinitesimal point. Or maybe at an infinitesimal point, annihilation is triggered. What will be the effect? A super romantic explosion. Or, a black hole. 8 in the morning. Yiren stopped exercising. A lot of spiritual energy was also consumed. Before leaving, Yilin stuffed the messy ingredients such as seaweed, starfish, blooded shark fins, aggrieved tentacles, etc. into her backpack, and went back to figure out how to cook them. In addition to farming, cooking also became one of Yilin's joys in this trial. On the way back, Yilin met a short-haired girl wearing farmer's clothes at the crossroads leading to the seaside from Gugu town. Hey, morning. Yilin straightened his hat and greeted the girl cheerfully. The visitor is none other than someone else. It is the talented agricultural girl who ranks very anxiously with Yilin on the farmer ranking, Qianduoduo. Why is it you again? Qianduoduo didn't expect to meet Yilin at the beach in the morning. His sunny face was suddenly clouded, and he almost cried out in a rainstorm. Yilin met Qianduoduo by chance at Papier grocery store a few days ago. Added friends by the way. Certainly. It's been mentioned before. Becoming friends among apostles is not as simple as actually becoming good friends. After adding friends, you can check whether you are dead or not at any time in the communication list. This is a very convenient function. Are you going fishing too? Qianduoduo deliberately walked a few meters away and asked Yilin as he passed by. Yes. Oh. After a simple exchange, when Qianduoduo was about to go to the beach, she suddenly remembered something, turned her head sharply, and stared at Yilin's back. By the way, have you noticed that the recent fish are particularly difficult to catch? Yeah. When you say that, it seems so. Yilin turned around, showing an innocent expression, and asked in passing, but why is this? Qianduoduo stared at Yilin's innocent face suspiciously. Her intuition told her that the recent plunge in fishing income was probably related to this guy. After all, this guy's ranking on the ranking list is too high. He rushed to the first place in an instant, which made Qianduoduo keep thinking about how this guy used to obtain such high profits in a short period of time. Never mind. Qianduoduo resisted the thought of questioning and hurried towards the beach. To do a certain task, you need 10 tuna fish, which must be obtained today. Tuna, according to the information provided by fisherman Willie, it is only possible to catch it in the ocean terrain from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. in summer and winter. Qianduoduo didn't want to miss the opportunity to fish. Rush. You're so young, you're so brave. I hope you can catch it soon. Yilin looked at Qianduoduo's back full of fighting spirit when he left, and couldn't help but silently said come on in her heart. She works really hard and is so inspiring. Walking in Gugu town, with the early morning sunshine paving the gravel road, Yilin began to mentally plan today's trip. We don't need to harvest the vegetables today. If we just water them, it won't be a big problem to finish it in the afternoon. We mined a wave of mines yesterday and there was enough material. We won't go to the mines for the time being today. Pippa's expression has been a bit off these days. Maybe he has some tasks. Let's go and find out when he opens for business later. Several formulas require milk, so carrying a milk pail to Marnie's farm every night to express milk is not an option. If Laolu hadn't been so diligent at night, Marnie would have discovered something was wrong with her cows. You have to build your own cowshed as soon as possible and raise your own cattle. When Yilin thought about the pile of things waiting to be done, she began to feel a headache again. This trial was really too cruel. Just thinking about it, there seems to be endless work. Yilin makes simple calculations from time to time. It seems a bit difficult to earn enough assets of 30 million within 3 years. How about just killing 3 of them? Yilin couldn't help but think about this idea again. There are 4 other farmers in the Nongpo Valley. Yiren basically met by chance. There is a lot of money, and it is visually estimated that he is a spiritual person with ominous abilities. Seems to be good at business. Bai Runding is a fair-skinned female apostle. Judging from her walking pace, she seems to be an agile person with ominous abilities. Strictly trained, powerful, muscular, and keen on mining. His farm was deserted. Wangabe, an apostle with a feminine appearance, Yilin accidentally discovered that he seemed to be keen on improving his favorability in Gugu town, and he was with Penny, Caroline, Emily. Jody waited for several young women and girls from the town to come very close to them, but they didn't know what their intentions were. Everyone has different emphasis on this trial. Originally, everyone's choices in the trial were varied. Just like Yilin, she likes to take the 3 mother spirits with her to protect her liver and farm for fun. Other people. Some people like to mine. Some people like fishing. Some people like to increase the favorability of residents. Some people like farming. But overall, it doesn't seem difficult to kill. Just 1 shot. If 1 shot doesn't work, then 2 shots. But in the current situation, the 5 apostles who came to Gugu town are all doing their own thing. They are too busy with various tasks and have no time for common conflicts among apostles. To be honest, the atmosphere was quite harmonious. Yulin was a little embarrassed to take action, feeling like he was bullying a child by taking the initiative. Whenever someone comes to provoke, forget it, Yulin doesn't want to think too much about such cruel things. Yulin passed by Lao Lu's house. Lao Lu is watering the flowers in the yard. Looking sad. By the way, speaking of which, Lao Lu secretly posted a side mission to him, but he hadn't gotten around to it yet. Mayor Lewis can't find his lucky purple shorts, please find them and return them to him quietly. Hidden side mission released, find Lewis's lucky purple shorts, reward, unknown PS, please don't alarm anyone. Yulin has been taking this task for a long time. But he has been busy with farm work, fishing, mining, cooking, exploring, and giving gifts. He really has no time to find shorts for Lao Lu next door. In fact, this task is too simple. Lao Lu, you are so old. Where are the shorts you took off? Don't you have a clue in your mind? While shaking his head and sighing, Yulin arrived at the gate of Marnie's farm. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 639. When Yulin came to Marnie's farm, the middle-aged woman, wearing a tight-fitting bag, was working in the fields with her butt sticking out. No wonder Lao Lu is so attracted to Marnie. Yulin remembered the big-mouthed Vincent's comment and nodded secretly. If you want to buy a cow, you have to have a barn. When Yulin expressed her interest, Marnie rejected Yulin's request to buy livestock with a sullen face. The favorability level is not enough. Yulin understood the reason as soon as he saw Marnie's face. The favorability level is not enough. Even though the residents of the town accepted him normally, they still treated him coldly. But Yulin didn't care either. He went to strike up a conversation with Marnie, the charming woman, but it was just a false shot. While Marnie wasn't paying attention, Yulin walked to the corner of the farm, activated Shadow Follower and Shadow Kill at the same time, and got into Marnie's house. In Vincent's words, Marnie is a resident with quite a story. She was a flower in the town when she was young. No one knows whether she is married now or not. Living together on Marnie's farm are Marnie's nephew Shane, and Shane's niece Jas. They are all nephews and nieces. Yulin feels that the relationship between them is a bit complicated. Maybe if you study carefully, you can find out some secrets. But now Yulin is not here to explore Marnie's secrets. During his time in Gugu Town, he had almost figured out the behavior patterns of the residents in the town. Those who work go to work, those who hang out, and those who open shops. At this time, Marnie's house was empty. Yulin enters the house. The buildings in Gugu Town all have the attribute of indestructible, which means that in Gugu Town, these buildings cannot be destroyed by force. This is not the first time Yulin has seen this kind of setting. It can't even be taken down. Otherwise, if it is taken back and used as a shield, wouldn't it be invincible? A strange thought flashed through his mind, and without stopping, he quickly found Marnie's bedroom and entered it. Marnie's bedroom is simple and nothing special. Yulin sensed the release and soon found the target under Marnie's bed. Why did they run under the bed? This old Lou and Marnie were having a very intense butt sex. Yulin had a strange expression, snapped her fingers, and a pair of wrinkled purple shorts floated out from under Marnie's bed. Recalling the experience of washing off several layers of skin with her hands after coming into contact with Lao Pan Harley Quinn's good friend, Yulin refused to touch it with her hands. Getting a little closer, Yulin looked at the purple shorts intently. The next second, the attributes of the shorts appeared in front of Yulin's eyes. Lewis Lucky Purple Shorts. Level Epic. Effect Luck Add 5.0. Durable Never Wear Out. Instructions. Click to view details. Looking at the properties of purple shorts, Yulin fell into silence for a minute. He was numb. Yulin's spiritual attributes have reached the extraordinary level. Based on his brain, he never expected that this seemingly ordinary and a bit ugly purple shorts, turned out to be an epic piece of equipment. Ridiculous. But looking at the attributes, Yilin felt that it was natural. Lucky add 5. Never wear out. These two attributes are definitely beyond the scope of rare level, and it is not too much to rate them as epic level. There are also 3, 6, or 9 levels among epic levels. Just talking about the weapon series, Pangenji's stick, and Yilin's Storm and Thunder Messenger cannot be generalized. But no matter what, these shorts are epic. But, who would wear it? When she thought about where these shorts came from, this was the reason why Yilin was confused. These are second-hand pants. Even if the shorts have the incredible property of luck add 5, Yilin will never wear them. This is the principle. It's also the bottom line. Yilin can't, at least she shouldn't. Moreover, there are no restrictions on these shorts such as cannot be taken out of this trial. In other words, these shorts can be taken out. Perhaps after being taken out, these shorts would flow into the circle of apostles and cause a bloody storm. Many apostles do not have this kind of cleanliness and bottom line. Maybe because of his awesome attributes, even Li Erpang would be willing to wear women's clothes. All just to survive. What's more, after the version update, the previous mode of obtaining random rewards in trials has been changed to a new version of the Krypton Gold mode in which DP is used to extract props from the wishing well. With these shorts, no matter who it is, they will go farther and smoother on the road to earning money. Wait a minute, even if I don't wear these underwear, it's okay for other people in the guild to wear them. Yilin suddenly had a bold idea. 20 minutes later. Yilin was sneaky, easily avoiding everyone's sight, and walked around behind the mayor Lu Yisai, who was shaking his head, sighing, and hammering his waist with one hand. Ahem. Yilin coughed twice, cancelled following like a shadow, and the purple underwear fell at Lu's feet from behind. Old Lu, please take a moment to speak. Yo. When Lao Lu saw the purple shorts at his feet, he subconsciously pounced on them, but missed. The purple shorts moved eerily to the left. Lao Lu didn't believe in evil, so he pounced again. This time, the purple shorts were slapped directly on Lao Lu's face, making a loud slap. Yilin helplessly spread her hands and repeated the previous sentence, "Old Lu, I said, please take a step to speak." 1 minute later. Old Lu's face was full of grievance. On the table is Schrodinger's underwear, visible but untouchable. Yilin ignored Lao Lu's thoughts and raised her fingers. "I went through all the hard work to help you find the lucky purple shorts. Where is the promised reward?" Yilin saw the blood and negotiated terms. Lao Lu sighed. He didn't hesitate to ask where Yilin found it. Others don't know where he lost his shorts. Doesn't he still know? Lao Lu still has this in mind. He just didn't expect that these shorts could magically get under the bed and into Lao Lu's blind spot. 1000 G. Lao Lu stretched out a finger and made an offer. Yilin smiled kindly and said nothing. 2000 G. Yilin continued to smile. 3000 G. No more. Poor Louis gritted his teeth. This was already the highest price he could give. In the room, the wooden chair behind Yilin was tilted at 45 degrees. Yilin lazily leaned on the back of the chair, crossed his legs, and crossed his hands on his knees, making a relaxing posture. He chuckled, "I heard that every 11th day of summer, the governor will take a boat to Gugu town to hold a grand annual luau party. This is where the importance of intelligence comes into play." Louis was stunned. The festival is this festival. But what does it have to do with his precious shorts? Yilin looked at Louis' stunned expression, stretched out, and said casually, "I am the most helpful person, but, Lao Lu, you give too little. You look at me like, are you missing those 3,000 to 5,000 people? Who are you looking down on? I heard that there will be booths set up at the luau, but the crops on my farm are not of high quality and there is nothing to display, The mayor's shorts look quite beautiful. I also heard that on the day of the Hawaiian banquet, a baile soup will be cooked. Everyone puts the same ingredient into the soup and cooks it in a big pot. Look, Laulu, I am not happy that the rewards are not in place. When I'm unhappy, I'll feel flustered, have chest tightness, feel unhappy, and even have trembling hands. As Yulin spoke, Schrodinger's purple shorts really started to tremble as they moved on the table. Laulu was stunned. Yulin was afraid that Laulu wouldn't be able to figure it out, so she kindly reminded her, "What if I accidentally shake Laulu's baby into the soup?" Laulu was furious and slapped a rusty old key on the table. "Young farmer, you win. Mayor of Gugu Town, Lu Yisai's favorability is -100. Yulin walked out of Louis' door with a smile. After going out, he thought of something and kindly reminded, "I am a very strict person. Don't worry, under normal circumstances I will never tell this matter. I forgot to mention it just now. When I'm in a bad mood, my mouth will shake. If my mouth shakes and I accidentally say something I shouldn't say. Handsome farmer, have a good journey. Welcome to come often. You are always welcome in Gugu Town." Louis' old face, pink and black with wrinkles, instantly became sunny and smiling. Mayor of Gugu Town, Lu Yisai's favorability at 250. Yulin left satisfied. This wave is perfect. Let's return these epic shorts to Louis first. Yulin was not willing to stay with him for so long. He had other plans and was not in a hurry. Let's talk about the shorts for now. As for whether Laulu will lose Lu Yisai's lucky purple shorts again, this is not what Yulin is worried about. But Yulin wished that Laulu would lose it again. According to Laulu's temperament, if he loses his shorts again, the task of finding them will still fall on him. A one-time task is done over and over again as a daily task. As long as there is a reward, Yulin is willing to work harder. After going out, Yulin looked at the key that Laulu handed him with a sad face. Community Center door key. Grade ordinary. Effect can open the abandoned community center door. Explanation: be careful, it is said that that place is not clean. Not far to the north of Gugu Town, in the suburbs, there is indeed a dangerous building. It is said that it has been abandoned for many years. To be honest, when Yulin was exploring the map, he went in and took a quick look. Didn't find anything weird. It is indeed a dilapidated building inside. There are still holes in the ceiling. But since Laulu gritted his teeth and gave out the key, there must be something unusual about it. After putting away the keys, Yulin looked at the balance in her pocket and walked to Papier's grocery store. There was a truck parked in front of the grocery store, and the proprietress was working hard to move boxes of heavy goods into the store. Yulin saw that this seemed to be an opportunity to increase her favorability, so she quickly stepped forward and offered to help. "I also gave a small gift, by the way." Carolyn's favorability add 1. Carolyn's favorability add 20. The front is the favorability of helping to move goods. What comes after is the favorability of giving gifts. Looking at Yulin's expression, Caroline finally changed. No longer as cold as before. Pippa was busy in the house, leaving his wife to chat with Yulin at the door. "You people who do farm work are physically strong. My Pierre is weak and cannot compare to you." It's okay, it's okay." Yulin said modestly. After all, he was lazy and cheated, so he was not tired at all. "Actually, if you exercise more, you can get better. The leather shop manager doesn't exercise too much and he doesn't even want to move things by himself." "Yes," Caroline said with a slightly nostalgic expression. "I remember that when I was young, I also liked sports, going out, and playing. When I first moved to Gugu Town, I liked walking alone near the Master Tower. I used to know a friend who was also very helpful. Oh, by the way." Caroline's expression changed slightly mid-sentence, as if she realized that she had spilled the beans, and lowered her voice to warn, "Don't tell Pierre, he is more suspicious." Yulin didn't expect that she really gave the right gift this time. From Caroline's words, she accidentally discovered the blind spot. Mage Tower. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 640. In the Snow Mountain Station. A family recognition meeting is being staged. She can't be the president's illegitimate daughter. When Li Changa said this loudly in front of everyone, a sharp sword light shot straight into the sky, stinging everyone's eyes. Oda Mai, who had never appeared, had a calm expression. She sheathed her sword and stepped forward through the snowflakes. Swish, swish, swish. Oda Mai made a strong appearance and instantly attracted everyone's attention. "It's okay, I just happened to be practicing swordsmanship and passed by." Oda Mai's expression didn't change at all. She explained and stood aside holding the knife. But she didn't realize that the sentence seemed to have the flavor of "There are no 300 taels of silver in this place," because no one else had asked yet. Li Erpang felt something was wrong with the atmosphere. He squinted his small eyes, looking at Oda Mai here and Molly here, and silently mourned for Yilin for a few seconds in his heart. If the plot continues to develop, once Yilin returns, the consequences will be disastrous. For the sake of the safety of the station and the safety of other people, Li Erpang prayed with all his heart that Yilin would not be ignorant and return at such a critical moment. Shwe'er looked at Oda Mai, her eyes lit up, her nose twitched, as if she was smelling something, and she closed her eyes. After a moment, she happily pointed at Oda Mai, "Dad." She pointed at Molly again, "Dad." Finally, she pointed at the confused Wang Er again, "Dad." After Li Changa said that, he was so frightened by Oda Mai's knife that he returned to the crowd. He secretly walked up to Li Erpang, who he had a good relationship with, and whispered in a low voice, "Look, I said it's possible, right? It can't be that outrageous, right? It shouldn't be. Where is this?" Li Erpang subconsciously didn't believe it. But right now, he could tell with his mind that Yilin's situation was not very optimistic. Everyone who was close to Yilin was called Dad by Shwe'er. Combined with what she just said about the smell of daddy, the current reasoning results, there is no need for the spiritual apostle to contribute his brain power. Even with his strong brain and a little bit of gossip gene, he can figure out the vigorous things in it. Love and hatred. If this was a family ethics series, it would definitely be the most bloody way to unfold it. This time, it was obvious that the illegitimate daughter came directly to confess her marriage. Take the high ground. President Yilin is in danger. Molly was at a loss, lowered her head and twisted her clothes, feeling extremely complicated. No matter how dull she was, she still felt that something was wrong with the atmosphere. She was really afraid that the little girl would call her father's name directly. But the little girl couldn't tell who her father was except for saying "Daddy is daddy." It seems that her father even hid his daughter? Hateful. Scum. Molly felt strangely resentful for the poor little girl. Hee. At this time, everyone was at a loss, and they didn't know how to proceed with the family recognition meeting. Amorendi walked out with a smile. He studied Shwe'er's face carefully for a moment. Faced with Amorendi's eyes, Shwe'er didn't retreat but advanced, and she was not afraid of life. She walked around Amorendi, smelling here, pinching there, her face full of curiosity. "I see." Amorendi let out a long sigh. "What does it mean? Why is it suddenly that's how it is? Not even a single character was written in this marriage recognition meeting. Who is her father? Grandpa, what should we do?" At first, Molly wanted to ask who her father was, but at some point, Molly swallowed the question back and replaced it with another more serious question. "Let's stay for now." Amorendi smiled. When Molly wanted to ask more questions, Rendi waved his hand. His father is not that kid, don't worry. At the same time that Rendi said this, Molly didn't know why, but she breathed a sigh of relief. Myota, who was holding the sword silently on the side, also hung the sword back on her waist. This vigorous father recognition conference ended in vain. When Molly saw that her grandfather was about to leave, Zyobia chased after him. "Grandpa, are you sure we want to put this child of unknown origin in the station? What if?" Rendi shook his head and laughed. "I don't understand the function of your station. But Meng, didn't you always say before that existence is reasonable? Since she appears here, she must appear here. Reason. Besides, she didn't force her way in, so what should she be afraid of?" In this way, Schwer stayed at the station. Although Molly was not at ease, since Rendi said so, Molly could only temporarily decide to send someone as a nanny to take care of Schwer, who suddenly broke in. Moreover, why she has access to the station is still a mystery. It would not be appropriate for her to leave hastily before the mystery is solved. Later, Molly asked Lee Zioki to do a simple experiment. Let Li Kai, who is far away in Hating City, use the authority of the vice president to temporarily kick a certain member out of the guild. Apostles without membership status cannot enter the station at all. In other words, there was no problem with the defense of the station. The problem is the very existence of Cher. She has the authority to enter the station. But she is clearly not on the list of guild members. In other words, the origin of her authority is similar to that of Mo Li, Ling Yi, and Mo Rendi. It is an additional access authority granted to the apostles. Why does this matter become more and more wrong as it gets better? Molly still felt a little uncomfortable. If she were still in the capital, she would use her hacking skills to find the mother named Xiaorugjiu in Schwer's mouth every minute. But not now. She has long been unable to borrow the country's database. It really hurts my balls. At last. Although the matter of the president's illegitimate daughter was killed in the tower has been revealed for the time being. But privately, members still gossiped about this matter from time to time, and corresponding scandals were circulated after dinner. After getting Lao Pan back, the guild members were all together, and the day of collective teleportation to Hating City was approaching. Everyone can only forget about Schwer's origin for the time being. In addition, under the care of the nanny, Schwer did not show any other weirdness except following Lao Pan and building a snowman in the snow. May 4th. Same day. Molly brings everyone together. For the sake of safety, 10 people were left behind, led by Lee Zioki, to garrison the Snow Mountain Station. After all, this station cannot be left empty. Moreover, 10 more people and 10 fewer people will not play a decisive role in the increasingly complex situation of Hating City. Ling Yi and Mo Rendi both stayed. As the key person in charge of the teleportation array, Molly could only go with him to the Great Engineer Tower in Hating City. Before the teleportation array is launched, everyone's face showed faint worry, nervousness, and doubts. Point-to-point transmission is still very safe before departure. Molly carefully arranged the cores of key parts and began to make a general mobilization speech before departure. The Hunden has already set up 80% in advance, and the remaining 20% it's just fine-tuning. Okay. Fine-tuning. Li Erpang, Ning Yu, Xiao Chuer and others were stunned. Wait a moment. You didn't say it was 20% before. 20% is still considered fine-tuning? Go. Molly didn't wait for the others to protest, and before they could escape, with a firm expression, she resolutely took the last position and stuffed the perfect crystal in the main core position into the groove. Target, Hating City. Ning Yu was so frightened that he hugged Xiao Chuer beside him. Gozi hugged Li Erpang's calf tightly. Li Erpang hugged Suzias's waist. Everyone's eyes widened with astonishment. In the blink of an eye, everyone disappeared in the dazzling light. After everyone leaves? Amorendi looked at the place where they disappeared, thoughtfully. Not long after. There is no enemy like a dying old man, who puts on a heavy coat to keep out the cold and walks tremblingly towards the edge of the camouflage sky. Among the dozen or so people who were left to guard the station, no one noticed Amorendi's departure while they were nervously confirming whether the brothers and sisters had arrived safely in Hating City. Amorendi looked calm as he walked through the camouflage sky. Ripples rippled, and when Amorendi opened his eyes again, he was already outside the Snow Mountain station. Huh, cough 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 cough. Outside the station, a bitter blizzard was blowing. A gust of cold wind poured into Amorendi's throat, and the sudden stimulation made Amorendi cough violently. He patted his chest helplessly and coughed continuously. The wind and snow today are a bit heavy. But a few seconds later, the wind and snow suddenly stopped around Amorendi. The howling cold wind and the continuous heavy snow seemed to be blocked by an invisible light curtain. After the strange wind and snow stopped, Amorendi finally stopped coughing violently due to the stimulation of cold air. With your body like this, what are you doing out here at this time? Right now. A gentle voice came from afar, echoing in Amorendi's ears. Amorendi calmed down, raised his head, looked at the figure approaching step by step from the depths of the blizzard, and smiled. When a friend comes from afar, I should always show my friendship as a landlord. Ah! Old friend. Mage Tower. Yulin thought about the name and wanted to ask more questions. Caroline's expression suddenly changed. She looked carefully at Pippi in the store. She saw that Pippi was busy counting money at the counter and didn't seem to hear the conversation between the two. Caroline was relieved. She looked at Yulin warily. If Yulin hadn't received the favorability plummet reminder, Caroline's strange look would have made Yulin suspect that her favorability with Caroline had dropped back to before. Young farmer, I forgot the conversation just now. After Caroline finished speaking, she didn't want to stay in front of Yulin and turned around to leave. Yulin saw this and didn't force it. The forceful melon is not sweet. It seems that the favorability is not enough to trigger the next task. Now that Yulin has given gifts every day, it has almost become a habit. Whenever she meets someone, she reaches out and puts gifts into the hands of the townspeople. After being stuck for more than 30 days, I have finally reached the point where I can have normal conversations, but further development seems to require a lot of effort. Yulin walked into the store. Pippi is wearing a dark green baseball cap with the logo of an unknown baseball team on it. After Pippi counted the money, he covered his dark green baseball cap listlessly and hung it behind the counter. He even forgot to give Yulin a look when he paid for her shopping. He must have some mission. Pippi's expression confirmed this to Yulin. Yulin knocked from the side, but Pippi didn't even look at Yulin. After collecting the money, he waved his hand and impatiently wanted to drive Yulin out of the store. After casually stuffing a piece of cooking into Pippa's hand and giving him Pippa's favorability add 1, Yulin didn't stay too long and turned around to leave. If I remember correctly, there is an abandoned stone tower at the foot of a certain mountain in the southwest of Gugu town. Yulin squinted her eyes and looked in that direction. Her eyes seemed to be able to penetrate the barriers of space, staring at the abandoned stone tower with a thoughtful expression. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 641. The Mage Tower is located in the southwest of the island. It was a fortress made of stones. The road leading to the Mage Tower is overgrown with weeds. Yulin was just passing by in a hurry. He noticed that there were no traces of people around the Mage Tower, so he didn't pay attention. Now it seems that there must be something fishy there. Saying goodbye to the Pippa family, Yulin set off for the Mage Tower. Xiaoxiao was placed on the farm. This time, Yulin did not ride a horse and floated at low altitude. Along the way, I chopped a lot of wood, stone, and wild vegetables. If you pass by this place at this time, you will see an amazing scene. A farmer with a fierce expression floated forward with his hands on his back and his feet not touching the ground. Hoes, sickles, mining picks, and axes were floating around the farmers. Wherever they passed, not a blade of grass grew, no trees branched, and no stone remained. The strong farmer king is so terrifying. In summer, the wild fields are full of fragrant berries, grapes, and sweet pea. In addition to selling some gold coins for these ingredients, the most important thing is that these are all fruits. It's time to add vitamin C. Yulin harvested all the way, giving full play to the good qualities of not wasting, not hesitating, and leaving nothing empty, and emptied all the wild fruits, trees, and food materials along the way. Finally, in the afternoon, as the sun set in the west, Yulin arrived at her destination. On the surface of the Mage Tower, the stone is covered with fine cracks and mottled moss is scattered here and there. Yulin only glanced at the Mage Tower, which was about 3 stories high, but did not enter it. It's not like Yulin has too much time to spare. He can't just sneak in and search every building he sees. This is not one of those old house robbery RPG games. Taking out a freshly picked grape from her backpack, Yulin took out the water she carried with her and washed it clean. With the grape in her mouth, Yulin walked along the stone steps to the door of the Mage Tower. Yulin swallowed the grapes with a slurp, looking puzzled. The door lock was actually locked from the outside. An iron lock with a simple structure locks the wooden door, preventing entry or exit. The lock cylinder was already rusty and it looked like no one had been in or out for a long time. Is there really no one inside? Yulin knocked on the door. No one answered. Then I'm sorry for bothering you. Yulin knocked on the door, he was polite enough. This time, he activated his abilities with peace of mind and slipped in through the crack in the door. Yulin entered the tower and her perception spread. It was pitch dark inside and the visibility was extremely poor. In Yulin's perception, in a space of about 20 square meters, rows of neat bookshelves were placed against the wall. In the center of the room, there was a large pot. There was an unpleasant smell coming out of the big pot, and it was unknown what had been cooked in it. There doesn't seem to be any familiar material. Although the smell wafting from the pot is very unpleasant, Yulin is professional when it comes to cooking. In just a few seconds, Yulin roughly identified the ingredients in the taste based on smell alone. It was unlike the wild or agricultural materials he had come into contact with. Yulin returned to her human form, stepped forward, reached out and touched the pot gently. Yulin dug out a piece of wet pot dregs. It's still warm on top. Yulin frowned suddenly, but didn't say anything in the darkness. Illumination. Yulin crushed the card and held the revolver in her hand. After quickly rubbing a few bullets, Yulin snapped her fingers. Several charged bullets automatically arranged in front of him and exploded. A light ball as bright as an LED light floats in the room, driving away the surrounding darkness. There are actually no windows in this Mage Tower. Even though the sun is setting outside, not even a ray of light penetrates into the tower. It seems that the owner of the Mage Tower is a senior otaku. The ball of light followed Yulin's butt. My eyes suddenly opened up. Yulin walked around the cauldron and walked to the bookshelf. The furnishings in the house are clear at a glance, and there seems to be nothing strange about them. Yulin even investigated and found that there was no classic structure such as a secret room underground. The only thing worthy of Yulin's attention was the pile of bookshelves. On the bookshelf, books with various covers are neatly arranged. It was filled with words that Yulin didn't quite understand. It's the type without translation. A thick black book was randomly selected, and the book floated from a height into Yulin's hand. Yulin flipped through a few pages and found that they were filled with some strange formations. There are also some that look like formulas learned in previous chemistry classes. After flipping through a few more pages, some obscure patterns appeared. The patterns were even more outrageous than hieroglyphs. There were actually many patterns similar to flasks drawn on them crookedly. Wait a moment. Yulin looked at it and suddenly felt that the array pictures on the first few pages looked a bit familiar. Yulin had previously communicated with Xingfei about the strengthening of alchemy. Xingfei was concerned about the secret of his ability and did not go into details. But he also said that the core of alchemy seems to be the process of understanding, decomposition, and reconstruction. The principles of alchemy are equivalent exchange and circle. The content recorded above seems to be somewhat similar to the alchemy that Xingfei said. No one was around. Yulin was holding a book and was fascinated by the light of the illumination technique. I don't know how much time passed. Suddenly. Puff, puff, puff. On the indoor wall, the candlestick that Yulin originally thought was just for decoration turned out to be strangely lit with green candle light. Yulin was startled. But the worst thing is yet to come. After the green candle light lit up, the bookshelf in front of Yulin began to tremble. The bookshelf is moving. What's the situation? Yulin closed the alchemy dictionary with an expressionless expression, and immediately became vigilant. While the bookshelf was shaking, light suddenly lit up under a dirty blanket next to the boiler, making the narrow room look like daylight. After the light flashed, a circle of light bursting with fire appeared out of thin air. In the aperture, a middle-aged man wearing a red cloak, with curly purple hair, a handsome face, and a short thick beard around his lips stepped out of the aperture, and made a strange moaning sound from his mouth. Ah! After 10 seconds of awkward silence, the man with purple curly hair looked at the uninvited guest in the room, with obvious disgust on his face, and shouted at Yulin, "Who are you? Get out of my mage tower." The moment the purple-haired man said these words, a corresponding change in favorability appeared in front of Yulin's eyes. The supreme mage of Cuckoo Town, Rasmati Stephen Strange, is angry that you broke into a private house. Rasmati Stephen Strange's favorability -50. Be careful, he may attack you at any time. Roll. Brother Lassie, with purple curly hair, shook his finger at Yulin, who was holding a book. In the next second, a circle of light appeared at Yulin's feet. Grass. Yulin should have been able to react. But just when he was about to take out his guns, his feet were empty and the scenery in front of him was spinning. The next second later, Yulin performed a moment of free fall and landed in a dark wilderness. In the dark wilderness, Yulin remained motionless, holding the mysterious book in her hand. He was deep in thought. I was actually teleported. Yulin couldn't laugh or cry. If such an embarrassing thing were reported back to the guild, Molly and the others might really laugh at it for days and nights. The only remaining scientific and technological achievements of the Great Engineer Tower, the walking textbook of crystal texture, the only honorary Great Engineer of the Auranos World Engineer Academy after the death of others, the dignified president of the Apocalypse Guild, was actually killed by that. The curly brushed hair was teleported with one hand. Give me back. Just when Yulin couldn't laugh or cry, another circle of light appeared in front of him, and the man with lace hair stretched out his hand from the hole unceremoniously and angrily snatched the book back from Yulin's hand. 2 seconds later, the aperture disappeared, and Yulin's hands were empty. This strange unfolding left Yulin stunned. Standing alone in the wilderness, Yulin was silent for several minutes. Interesting. Yulin picked the laughter mask on her forehead and laughed happily. The next day, Yulin came to the Mage Tower early in the morning again. From the changes in favorability, Yulin knew the name of the mage. Rasmati Stephen Strange. The name was long and difficult to pronounce, so Yulin decided to affectionately call him Curly Hairbrush. Brother Russ, good morning. Yulin specially prepared a dish and brought it to the door. Dishes from the sea is not a very complicated dish. The main ingredients are sardines and hash browns. Sardine has a unique and sweet taste, combined with the crispiness of hash browns after frying. Yulin is confident that this dish will win the heart of the mage. Top quality ingredients often only require the simplest cooking methods. No one knows how to measure favorability better than Yulin. But roll. Brother Lassie didn't know if it was specifically to prevent Yulin from breaking into his home again. Waiting at home early this morning. Just when Yulin brought out the fragrant and crispy sea dish, a word go came out from inside. Then, gems. Yulin painfully took out a citron from her backpack. Produced from the 14th level mine. Yulin's luck score is not high, but she has worked hard to achieve this. Rubbish. Brother Russ squeezed out 2 more words coldly. Egg. Yulin took out another fresh egg produced by Gil number 2. This time, Yulin was teleported away again instantly. The teleportation ability activated by Brother Lassie is completely different from Yulin's crystal pattern technique. Yulin didn't even know when the other party would make a move, so she was sent away. It was extremely weird. The reason why Yulin is so interested in Brother Lassie is because he remembered that Adeng also showed the skill in front of Yulin when he was in the world under the cloud of Auranos. In slow motion with the left and right hands, a circle portal was generated. At that time, Yulin asked, "Can he learn?" Adeng's answer was, "Unfortunately, there is no time." In other words, Yulin can learn it. Now that he has discovered similar abilities from Brother Lassie, how can Yulin not be greedy? I never expected that in a good farming trial, such strange and extraordinary abilities would appear. It seems that the method is not quite right. Yulin was not discouraged when she saw that Brother Curly Lassie was not making any progress. She returned to the farm and used telekinesis to automate the assembly line production while thinking about how to increase Brother Lassie's favorability. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 642. Hot Summer Day. Planting fields, harvesting vegetables, digging mines, researching recipes, making wine, feeding chickens, logging, and quarrying. Yulin was so busy that her waist ached. This kind of trial is simply overwhelming. As Yulin's farm grew, Yulin began to feel powerless. He gradually understood the difficulty of this trial. On the farmer ranking list, no one has yet broken through to the next level of Farmer King. Not even Chientuotuo, who is good at business. You can imagine how difficult it is. Yulin was really forced to have no choice but to cheat again and catch all the fish from the entire island. Along with this, the fish production in the surrounding seas plummeted at the same time. While others were cursing why there was no longer a stable income from fishing, Yulin stuffed 80% of the fishing harvest into the dimensional shipping box. Congratulations to Farmer King Yulin for her total assets exceeding 500,000 G. The level is upgraded to Farmer King. Please keep up the good work. In an instant, Yulin once again topped the farmer list. It's just so relaxing and stress-free. Yulin looked at the changes in the rankings on the farmer rankings, feeling completely calm in her heart. To be honest, this kind of easy thing is nothing to be proud of. Isn't it just a mediocre number 1? In fact, if they work harder, they can still achieve it. Formula. Yulin clicked on the recipe interface to view the newly unlocked tool recipes. Garbage recycling machines can turn garbage into materials like coal and can do it. The seed generation machine can turn crops into corresponding seeds. Hey, it's a black technology. I don't know if I can take it back and use it, but since seeds can be bought with money, then the function of this machine is better than nothing. Jam machines, oil presses, cheese presses, and looms all turn agricultural products into finished products that can be sold at a higher price. They are very useful. Lightning rod. Can it produce a battery during summer thunderstorms? This should be useful. Summer is almost over, so we have to hurry up. The sap collector and the scarecrow look like they'll work too. Huh? What is this, a cherry bomb? After being promoted to the realm of agricultural king, Yilin's recipe interface unlocks many recipes at once. Yilin thought about it one by one and found many interesting props. Immediately afterwards, Yilin's mind began to become active, thinking about the next way to make money. If you are really serious, it will be difficult to obtain 30 million assets in just 365 days. Now that the first year is nearly halfway through, Yilin has used fishing to make a lot of money, which is enough to make his assets exceed 500,000 and reach the realm of agricultural king. This trial is still difficult. Moreover, this asset is not a pure asset, it costs money in many places. And it's still a big price. With all this going back and forth, if you want to get enough assets of 30 million, the difficulty has gone up several levels. Real liver. But it has to be said that it seems that after reaching the realm of Farmer King, with the emergence of these unlocked formulas, Yilin can be called a real farmer. In terms of agriculture, we are finally on the right track. The powerful Farmer King is so terrifying. No wonder, except for Wangabi who likes to run to the houses of those young women, the other three people are basically invisible in the town. If they do this, they have almost no time to go to the farm except for spending all day. Just worry about other things. Not to mention fishing and mining. During this time, Yilin visits the Mage Tower every day. Brother Lassie inside seemed determined to have sex with Yilin. Every time Yilin went there secretly, Brother Russ was always at home and told Yilin to get out. Yilin tried giving various types of gifts, but they were all ignored. Of course, this mere difficulty cannot make Yilin back down. Anyway, there are tens of millions of materials produced in this trial, and there is always something that suits Brother Lassie's heart. Yilin was not in a hurry. Every time I give a gift, if it is rejected, I turn around and leave, so as not to let Brother Rousseau teleport it. Yilin, being an extraordinary person, naturally noticed it. This curly purple-haired man who doesn't know whether he claims himself or claims to be the supreme mage, has a strange ability that's not quite right. The appearance of such a character in a good farming trial was worthy of Yilin's attention. This trial is not as simple as it seems, Yilin said with great interest. On the other hand, after Yilin unlocked the cherry bomb formula, the efficiency of mining can be said to have doubled. After watering the vegetables in the morning and going out, Yilin decided to dig into the mine. Yilin used cherry bombs to blast the mines, and cooperated with the copper pickaxe from time to time, making the journey relaxed and enjoyable. The mine before the 30th floor is full of various monsters such as green slime, maggot, groundworm, bedbug, rock crab, cave fly, cave bat and other messy monsters. The level of this hodgepodge made Yilin cry out, but it was also an eye-opener. Why is there such a plot similar to playing a dungeon in a farming trial? You bastard! This is unscientific. But Yilin still fought hard. Because although these monsters are disgusting and their juices fly out when they are killed, they are really not much of a threat to Yilin, and he can easily clear out the entire layer of monsters. In addition to various materials dropped by killing monsters. In the mines, some barrels, boxes, etc. will be randomly spawned. Similar to the wild treasure chest in the game copy. Yilin didn't find anything good in the barrel box. But some interesting material also came out. Amethyst, citron, for gifts. Cave carrot can improve recipes. Crystal ball, go to the iron mine and smash it open, you can get some gadgets, similar to Easter eggs. Worth mentioning is, red mushroom. Red mushroom. Material grade ordinary. Source foraging. Eating effect toxic. Unlock recipe life potion. In the barrel, red mushroom can occasionally explode. This material that looks like food is actually poisonous. The unlocked formula is also very strange. Life Potion. Grade Rare. Effect: quickly heal injuries and restore a large amount of health. PS, fatal injuries cannot be repaired. Recipe: red mushroom 1, purple mushroom 1, morel 1, chanterelle 1. Explanation: with it, you no longer have to worry about grandpa worrying about you being beaten by monsters in the mine. What surprised Yilin was that the poisonous red mushroom was actually one of the formula components of the health recovery item. Interesting, if this formula can be brought back to reality. Yilin thought of the greenhouse she built in her residence, and Li Shizhen, a talented person who was good at planting. The more I think about it, the more clues I get. Of course, apart from random thoughts, Yilin has not forgotten her original intention. His original intention of coming to this island was to find an energy source that could replace the crystal. Even though Yilin hasn't found it yet, he has vaguely found some clues. 1. The Mage. The ability of the Mage to teleport at will seems to be a new power system that has something in common with the crystal pattern technique. Yilin believed that as long as she found a way to open the heart of the Supreme Mage, Brother Russ, and gain enough favorability, it would only be a matter of time before she could dig out the secret of his abilities from his mouth. The Mage's side is a breakthrough. 2. Ore. Yilin also has some experience in mining. Currently, before the 30th floor, the mines produced are mainly copper ore. Occasionally, if you are lucky, you can knock out 1 or 2 citron and amethyst. Yilin had inquired in the town. It is said that no one knows how many levels there are in the mountain mine. Speaking of which, there is a shabby adventurers guild next to the mountain mine. In that house, there are 2 people who live there. Speaking of which, there are only 2 people in the entire union. One of them is the union president, Malone. He looks young, has white hair, is blind in his left eye, and wears an eye patch. According to gossip Vincent mentioned, Malong was also a civilized and passionate adventurer in the town back then, keen on exploring the unknown areas of the island. The current map of the island was written by Malong. His adventurous career was full of legends and stories, until he got an arrow in his left eye. Vincent also accidentally mentioned that Malong also had a deep crush on Marnie. The relationship between Marnie, Malong and Laolu is complicated, and Yilin has no time to delve into the love and hatred among them at the moment. As for another person in the union, it's a coincidence that he has the same name as Yilin's chicks, called Jill. Gil is an upright old man who refuses to accept gifts. Yilin has not spoken to him yet. After Yilin finally raised Malong's favorability level to barely able to talk, she once asked about what happened deep in the mine. He only said that there was a huge secret hidden deep in the mine. The secrets he told also aroused Yilin's interest. Maybe you can find clues related to the crystal there. The above 2 points are what Yilin has discovered so far. Citron and amethyst are 2 gemstones produced in mines. Yilin once tried to use them to build a circuit, but failed in the end. There isn't any energy on it. It's really just a prop used to give gifts. Finally, Yilin arrived at the 30th floor. The boxes on the 30th floor were also empty. There are really people who are obsessed with mining. Yilin looked at someone on the farmer ranking list, thoughtfully. It was getting late. After Yilin opened the 30th floor mine elevator, she returned to the farm as quickly as possible. The farm is very quiet late at night. The chickens all went back to the chicken coop to sleep. Before entering the house, Yilin specifically checked the reconnaissance loop that had been deployed around it. Once someone passed by, the loop would be automatically destroyed, leaving traces. Well, haven't they thought of destroying other people's farms yet? Or do they have no time? Yilin stared at his farm and smiled, then returned to the farmer's hut, teased the cat Xiaomeng, went to sleep, and ended the day. In the bustling farm life, time flies, and it's midsummer in the blink of an eye. Today is a happy day. Luau Banquet. The festival that Yulin used to threaten Laolu came again. Yulin completed the work of feeding chickens, watering, harvesting vegetables, and sowing seeds early in the morning, and hurriedly arrived at the seaside. This is the home of the festival banquet. In the garishly decorated festive scene, Yulin appeared in the same frame as the other 4 apostles for the first time. Bai Runding, Yan Cao, Qianduoduo, and Wangabe, all smiling, arrived at the venue with their proud crops. Yulin was the last to arrive. But as soon as he arrived, the eyes of the other 4 people all fell on Yulin, who exuded the strong aura of the farmer king. Qianduoduo, who was good at business and often competed with Yulin for the top spot, glared angrily, as if fire was spitting out of his eyes.